Hello ladies and gentlemen, today I'm starting a new lesson. It is Comparing and Scaling 4.1. This is getting close to the end now of our time with comparing and scaling. We're going to be doing 4.1, which is on page 49 through 51, problems A through D. And our ACE problems are 1, 2, 15 through 17, and 21 and 23. And your learning target is that you can set up and solve proportions. So let's start in with the notes. The notes look like this. Proportion. This is going to be very familiar. And I'm going to start this off with an example. 6 sodas cost $3.60. How much will 18 sodas cost? So here's how you set it up. You set it up very much the same way we would set up a scale factor problem. I create a column for sodas and a column for dollars. And I basically set sodas per dollar, and if I wanted to I could find the unit rate, which we learned earlier, but why bother when I can just times it by some number, basically a scale factor or something very similar to it, and filling in the information I know. Well, I know, right, that let me back that up and change that just a little bit. Sodas, then times, then equals. I know that, according to this, 6 sodas cost $3.60. I want to know how much 18 will cost. And I just ask myself, what times 6 gives me 18? And sometimes this will be a decimal, sometimes it will be a whole number. In this case, it's 3. 6 times 3 gives me 18, and I set it as the bottom as well. And if I do 3 times 3.60, I end up getting $9.90. So basically I just increase them by a proportion, by a proportional rate. And that's how we solve these problems. And this can get a little more complicated as we go on. For instance, it sometimes might be backwards. Sometimes they give us, a problem where we have the larger number first and we have to divide to find our missing value. But we'll go on and see another example first. Okay, here's a tougher example. 300 million iPhones were sold in Q2 of 2014. How many of them were iOS phones? Well, I basically create a thing here where I have the phones, okay, and the percent of phones. Now I know that the number of iOS phones was 11.7%. I know that the total number of phones would have been 100%. I know that 100% of phones would be 300 million. I'm just going to keep it in millions. I'm not going to bother with all the zeros there. And basically I've got to figure out what times 11 gives me 100%. So I do 100 divided by 11.7, and I get 8.54, but I'm going to round it to 8.55 because that's the nearest hundredth there. Now, this is one of those problems where I have to go backwards. I know some value times 8.55 gives me 300 million. But instead of multiplying, I've got to go the other direction, so I'm going to divide. I'm going to do 300 divided by 8.55. And I end up getting 35.09. And since I know that this is in millions, that's my answer. 35.09 million phones were iPhones. So, as you can see, we can sometimes move up or down the proportion to solve for missing values. And knowing which is which, and knowing if your answer makes sense, is the key to solving most of these problems. And if you're familiar with solving equivalent fractions, if you're familiar with working these proportions and the scale factor problems that we've been doing, this will come in very handy, and this will be very easy for you. Your coursework today is lesson 4.1 practice, lesson 49 through 51, A through D, 1, 2, 15 through 17, 21 and 23 of the ACE problems. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have fun.